friends, and welcome back to my crafty space. My name is Crystal, and today I am excited to share with you guys my first Story Kit Crush project using the Changes Story Kit. If this is your first time hearing about Story Kit Crush, the whole idea of this series is each month to pick one older story kit from Ali Edwards and to work our way through that kit throughout the month in order to crush it or use up all of the pieces. This was a challenge that was started by myself, my friend Tashi, and our friend Amanda. Tashi's also here on YouTube, and I'll put a link to her YouTube channel down below so you can go and check out her first project for change this month. So today, here is what I am doing. Now, I will start by saying that I only have the digital version of this kit. I do not, in fact, have the physical. So everything that I'm working with is within a digital space first, and then I come over and work on it on the table here. So let me just show you what I've got here. Then what I'm going to do is take you over to my computer and show you how I actually made these pieces inside of Photoshop Creative Cloud and Silhouette. Then we'll come back over here and I'll put everything together. So here's what I've got. So the first story I wanted to talk about was changes for Izzy throughout the years. So I went back in my photo archives and I pulled out photos from a couple different stages of her first year of life. So I've got a newborn picture, 3 months, 6 months, and then I've got 1 year, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I just wanted to make a spread that showed pictures of her growing and changing throughout the years. So this photo that I have here, I printed as a 6x6 photo, and it's going to go into my album just like this. So it'll just be something that is shaped a little bit different and sized a little bit different. And that's the fun thing for me about story albums is I try not to limit myself on how big or how small my pages are. So a 6x6 photo. In addition to that, I also have this journaling section that is kind of writing to Izzy. So I used some of the digital components in order to make this journaling spot. This is, it's 4 inches, 4 inches by 8.25. So it's going to be the height of a page protector, but narrow. I will hole punch it on the side here, and then we'll add it into the album just like that. In addition to those pieces, I did use Silhouette to trim out or to cut out this embellishment that says Hello Changes. Originally, I was going to use the other cut pieces. You'll see that on the computer portion, but I actually end up really liking the inside negative piece. So that's what I'm going to use there. I also printed out some asterisks that I may use as the cardstock ones, or I'm also going to try cutting some out of this cork piece. This cork is a bit thick, so it might not work. We're going to give it a try and see what happens. Yeah, you can see it's kind of thick, but it is adhesive on the back, so that's kind of cool. So we're just going to play around and see what happens. And then last but not least, I have this pattern paper from Felicity Jane from the Sarah collection. And I want to use this pattern paper in order to make a section that I can hole punch on the edge of the photo. That way I don't actually put holes in any of these photos here. So that's what I've got here. I think the assembly part is going to be fairly simple once we get started. But before we get to this, let's head over to my computer so I can show you guys all of the Photoshop and Silhouette stuff first. Okay, so up on my screen here, I have the outcome of what this page is going to look like digitally before we print everything off and get ready to put it together on the table. So let me show you how I created these components. We're going to start over here on the 6x6 photo grid that I made here on Photoshop. So first thing, let's do this title piece in the middle. So what I did for that one is I created a new canvas sized at 2 inches by 2 inches, just with the white background. Then I opened up one of the journaling cards that came in this set. It's this yellow dots journaling card. I selected it all, copied it, and pasted it right over onto the 2x2, which looks good right here. And then we're going to go ahead and merge those layers together. You can come over here and select both layers, right click and say merge visible, or you can do the short keys, which I have a PC, or I Yeah, I have a PC, so I use the Control, Shift, and E to merge visible layers. So when you guys see me do that, that's how I do that. Okay, next what we're going to do is change the color of the dots from yellow to pink. Originally, I was going to leave this page yellow, but when I started pulling out all the pictures, almost all of them have some kind of pink in them. So I thought it would be nice to use the pink color from this collection instead. So what I'm going to do is first, we're going to select all of these dots by going up to Select and Color Range. From here, we can over on the menu, do sampled color, and this is going to let me pick a color that I want to select. So if I were to select the background, it's going to make the background look all white because it's selecting the background but not the dots. If I select the dots, it selects all of the dots but not the background. So this is what we want right here. I believe if you hold the Control button, you can see the colors over on this side of the page, and you might be able to click over here as well. Yep. Just FYI. So then we're going to hit the OK button, and it's going to select all of those dots. Next, what we want to do is open up, we'll get rid of this. We want to open up a card that has the pink that we want. So for me, I'm going to use this line card. I will grab my color picker tool and pick up that pink color. So now this is in my foreground spot. Then over on the dots page, we're going to go up to Edit and Fill. Then we can select foreground. So if it was in your background, you could select background, but foreground, and we're going to hit OK. Now that's going to change all of those dots from yellow to pink. And this is going to be my centerpiece for this page right here. Now, when I print this, I'm not actually going to print the title or the asterisk on the card. It's just going to be just like this. But I do want to go ahead and put together the rest of this square just so we can see it on the page. So what I want to do is open up this Hello Changes stamp PNG. From here, I can select the whole thing and paste it over onto the square. And as you can see, it is much too big for the 2x2. So I'm going to transform this in order to size it down and get it to where I like it. I think we need to go up a little bit right there. Hit the Enter key, and that will clear everything up and bring it into focus. So this is going to be the size of the title that I want. Now, I plan to cut this out with my silhouette. So if you don't have a silhouette, you could just print it on here just like this. You could change the color of it if you want, but I actually kind of like the black. So for me, I want to make this into a cut file. So what I'll do here is open up a new canvas. Let's size this at the 2x2 inches. Then we'll get rid of the original one. Let's go over to that square we're making and make sure we have the title layer there selected. We'll copy that and paste it over onto the 2x2 square. So now it's just on a white background. From here, we can save it as a PNG. And then later we'll be able to open that up in Silhouette. So here's mine. We'll be able to open that up in Silhouette in order to create our cut file. So let's close out of that for now. So next what I did here, or what I will do here, is to select both of these layers, and I am going to copy them. Then I'm going to create a new canvas, this time at 6 inches by 6 inches, because that's the size of the photo that I want to print. And we'll paste those layers in here. They're going to put them directly in the middle. That's just where things paste to, is the direct middle of any canvas. And that's ultimately where I want this to go, so it works out for me. From here, what I did is I picked out 8 photos to go around this title piece. So my 8 photos are a range of ages for my daughter. So I have one from her newborn pictures, 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and 5 years. Let me just pull one up so you can see. So there we go. So this is the first photo that I'm going to be putting on here. I'm going to copy all of it and paste it onto that 6 by 6, and then I can just move it where I want it to go, just like so. Then I would fill in all of the other pictures, and then we're going to end up with something looking like this. Let me add that title back on there. And there is my 6 by 6 photo. When I print this though, because I'm making this into a cut file, I don't want that title to print on there, so I'm just gonna hide that layer, and then the rest of this I would print on photo paper, just the way that it is. So that is, in a nutshell, how we got this 6x6 portion done. Let me close all these out and then we can work on the right side of this page. Okay, so that's this one. Next, we're going to work on this journaling section. So this I intend to use as a sort of insert where there'll be the journaling for this page on the side that you can see. And then when you flip it over, I'll be able to put something else on the back of it at a later time. So for this, I want this to be the size or the height of a page protector. So I'm going to make it 4 inches wide by 8.25 inches tall. So here's my canvas. Now, originally, the idea for this spread, let's open, not new. The idea for this spread came from this card right here. I ultimately don't end up using the big step sentiment there. I just felt like the hello changes seemed more appropriate for the page I was doing, but I did really like this card in the beginning there. So what I did is I copied it and pasted it over onto this 4 by 8.25 canvas. I'm just going to move it. Actually, before we move it too far, I want to grab my marquee tool. So let me show you guys what my original intention was here. And I grabbed this big step sentiment. I put my rectangle around it, right clicked, and layer via cut. So then I can hide that layer, make sure the original card is selected, and then we can pick up the yellow color and paint the box so that it is full, just like this. Then I can move this kind of where I want it to go. Originally, I had it a little bit thicker on the left side here. We can copy this layer and then we're going to paste it a couple of times just to fill in the whole card here. So that looks pretty good. So let's merge those layers together. Then I can grab my eraser and erase off the additional titles there. So now we've got this yellow bit. Here's the story and a place to put journaling. So my original intention was to take this sentiment here and reduce the size of it so that it would fit inside like a sidebar, and then to just put it in the middle. And then I didn't really like the scale of that. I mean, it's okay. It's not bad. It's okay. So then what I thought I could do was to just do a whole bunch of them and make this fill up the whole side here. So we can just, to give you guys an idea. Eventually, I ended up taking these off and just letting it be filled with color because I felt like the text was too busy. But if this is something that you might like for a project of yours, that is something that I originally thought of doing. Let's delete those all off though, and I'll show you what I did end up doing instead. So from here, I am just going to grab a piece of this canvas and I'm going to layer via cut. Then I can move these until I get this sidebar, the thickness that I like, merge those back together. So this looks pretty good now. And then I can add a text box in order, let's make sure this is black, in order to add my journaling to this page. Like so. We'll just copy it and paste a bunch of times like that. And that is essentially my journaling card here. On this page, you can also see that I have a couple of asterisks on here. So those were just the original, I think they were a sticker sheet. And here they're just like a black shape. So what I did for this is I grabbed the shape and then I added it onto my page. I left it at the original size for 2 of them. And then I wanted to have a third one on here, but I didn't like this anywhere else. So what I ended up doing was just sizing it down to create a smaller one and having that offset from the original here. So that's what we did there. Then I am going to take these and cut them out on my silhouette as well. So I just did exactly the same thing as the title piece. And let's open, I'll show you. And I created a cut file for that to put into Silhouette and cut it out. I may just use it as the cutout, or I'm thinking I'm going to try using it as a stencil to cut out some cork pieces just to give this page some extra texture. But that is that. So last but not least, let's hop over to Silhouette and I'll show you how I made those into cut files. So we have 2 of them here. Let's open them both up. So what I did is I did the select trace area, drew a square around the hello changes, hit the trace button, and then deleted that original file. So there is my hello changes cut file. Then I came over here to do the same thing to these asterisks, drew a square around it, hit that trace button, and deleted the original. Now for this one, I actually want to move this little tiny one up a bit more. So I went to Object and Release Compound Path and then moved this little one up. And then the final thing I did was just to grab this cut file. I added it to this canvas just so I can do everything at once, and made a couple of different ones so that I can layer them together to thicken everything up. So what I'm going to do now is get everything cut out, get everything printed out, and then I will meet you guys back over at my desk to put this whole page together. All right, so now that everything is ready to go, let's get started on assembling this actual page together. So the first thing I'm going to do here is grab over that piece of cork. It's a cork sheet with a sticker back, and I took one of the asterisks, the bigger of the two, and traced it onto part of the cork, just using a regular old pen. And then I'm going to fussy cut it out with my precision scissors and see if I like it on this on this spread itself. So I'm just going to set it in my tray for the time being. Then I am going to bring over my pages to work on them. First, I want to cut a piece of this pattern paper at about, I think I cut it at about 1.5 inches, and then I cut that, at 6 inches. So it's a 6-inch strip that is 1.5 inches wide. That's what I'm going to use for the area that I will hole punch in order to put this into an album. So I'm going to add a little bit of adhesive to one side of the strip, and then I'm also going to add a piece of adhesive to the edge of my photo. That just lets it makes sure that the edges are all adhered to both things. Now I am using score tape as my adhesive here because I, at this point in time, was still out of my roller adhesive. So I have some ordered and on the way, but it's taking forever to get here. And at this point, I feel like maybe it's lost somewhere. Hopefully not. Hopefully it'll show up here soon. But luckily I have a huge stash of that score tape on hand. So that is what I'm using here. Then once I had everything adhered down, I knew I wanted it to be at the 7-inch mark. So the photo is 6 inches. And then I placed the photo on my mat there just to use for measuring, and then I could adhere that little strip down, knowing that it would make the photo and the strip put together a combined 7 inches wide, and I was okay with that. I also grabbed my template and hole punched the right side of this page, and now I'm going to work on that center title piece. So when I was making the cut file on my computer, I originally was thinking of using the actual cut of it, right? It was like a circle element and then the words from the inside. But as you can see, these pieces are very small, and the words inside of those spaces, it just would have been so impossible. But the negative portion, which is what I'm working with right here, was perfect. Like, it cut the words out and everything is great. You can read it, you know what it says, and it just worked. So I decided to go with that instead. So I adhered the 3 layers together to thicken it up, and then I'm going to add it there on my photo. The further away you are, it does get a little tricky to read, so it might be hard to see it on this video, but when you see the close-ups, the close-up images, you'll be able to see it then. So this is where I'm thinking of adding that cork piece. I do stick it down on the photo, and then I'm not totally crazy about it. So at first I just figured I'd just go with it and leave it there, but I do eventually take it off. So the problem with it, the problem was that the cork was just too thick. I think I need to find a source for like some really thin cork sheets. That would be a much better solution for something like this than what I've got. What I've got is just way too thick. So I'll have to figure out something else to do with it. It would probably be good for like larger elements, but it's just not, it just didn't really work for this right here. So there we are, I'm taking it off. I did go ahead and build the 2 asterisks that are going in the bottom right hand corner of my journaling page. So that's just 3 of those cuts glued together. when you see the close-ups later, you'll be able to see that they do have some dimension, and that was what I really wanted for those pieces. So same thing here, except this time I adhered 2 layers together. I think I might have done 2 or 3. And then I'm going to add a piece of the yellow from the floral of the offcuts. There you can see, because I cut that 1.5 inch strip, but I only used 6 inches. So what you see right on the left-hand side is the other 6 inches. I just cut a little square of yellow out, added it to the asterisk cluster, and then I will trim that out and add that on the Hello Changes title instead. I think it looks a lot better. Then once I have that done, the assembly portion of this spread will be done. So what I'm going to do is grab Izzy's story album over. So this gives you kind of a sneak peek of her album here. And this is what I do. So my photo or my stories have no particular order. I literally just look for a spot that this will fit and plop it in. So this one's going to go right here, and then that gives me the backs of those to use for future stories down the line. All right, you guys, there we go. So this one is all done and looks super great. So see what I mean? How like these pieces aren't necessarily as big as the pieces behind them, but that's okay with me. It'll just mean that when I do a different spread, that I probably need to make those bigger. I might use my power punch to make these bigger. But when I do a different spread, I might just do, you know, a page here with the 6x6 photo on this side. And then for whatever story gets told on this page might just be one full page and 1 insert type page. So, you know, it all works out. It makes it fun and interesting to fill these books up. So, yes, this turned out awesome. I do like the cardstock better than the corkboard. I mean, it was a good experiment. I'll have to find a different use for that material, but I definitely like it better with the paper and not the cork. So yes, it was pretty easy spread to put together here on the table. I hope that this gives you guys some inspiration on stories that you can tell using the Change Story Kit. You know, if you have children or if you have pets, or you could even do it for yourself to find pictures that span over a certain number of years and turn that into a spread that shows how you have progressed or changed through that time. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up down below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can see all of my future crafty videos. I will have another change story for you guys next Friday, and in the meantime, I have a bunch of other videos coming your way, so keep your eye out for those. Until next time, I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend, and I will catch you all in the next video. Bye now.